What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the recent Jim Ryan comments about Call of Duty, about, people would be leaving PlayStation. Look, I'm really going to hold the same kind of mentality I've had throughout this entire thing. I don't love companies being bought up in droves. I don't like it when Sony does it. I don't like it when Microsoft does it. I prefer that everybody kind of just stays independent. It's not the way that it is. At this point, Microsoft, just go ahead, you buy Activision Blizzard, and then the dominoes will fall because Sony would retaliate with buying more, Microsoft will buy more. We kind of know where it's going. I've also commented on this fiasco in general, largely staying away from it. I really only give my thoughts on this, Activision Blizzard thing when it becomes such a big deal or when something really crazy has been said. So the comments we're talking about here, right, is the idea that Microsoft, if they bought it, right, that they would allow Call of Duty to have basically an inferior product on PlayStation. So that was kind of floated out there. There was all this kind of drama going on. And then Jim Ryan basically, again, came out to say, well, if it were to happen, right, so if Call of Duty were to come out on PlayStation and they purposely did it and they made it purposely worse than any other version, people would leave PlayStation. His quote was, "It would seriously damage our reputation. Our gamers would desert our platform in droves. Our business would never recover." So again, this is where I have to kind of step in. Largely, I'll just let these two battle in court and I don't really care. Whenever it happens, it happens. But what's annoying about all this is it's obviously not true. And Jim Ryan himself knows it's not true. Wasn't there that rumor? I don't know if it was a journalist or was somebody. There was that rumor, or maybe even Jim Ryan said it, where he knows basically, this isn't going to absolutely cripple them. And he's talked about, I don't want your 10-year deal. I want to block the merger, right? That was kind of the quote that people, I don't follow it close enough. Honestly, I don't care to. But I truly get the sense that he knows that that's garbage. He knows like this entire thing. Look, would it hurt PlayStation? I'm sure it would. The 10-year deal thing would be the smartest thing to take at this point, right? Or maybe try to negotiate like a 15-year deal. Maybe that's what they were trying to do anyway. Like, do whatever you got to do. Get 10 to 15 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation. And in those years, you work on a Call of Duty competitor that'll just be on yours, right? Because when Microsoft eventually takes it off, if they take it off, they've always sounded like they weren't going to do that, but they kind of go back and forth with it, right? But no matter what happens, you'd have your own. That's what should happen. That should be the plan here. And I get the sense based off, that earlier quote, whether it's true or it was caught on a hot mic or whatever it was, I think the plan literally is just to block it. They don't, literally like that quote states, they don't care about 10 years. They don't care about anything. They only care about blocking the merger. They just don't want it to happen. And because they don't want it to happen, they're willing to say and do just about anything. Now, ultimately, I don't think that's a wise idea because when this all ends, if Microsoft's allowed to do it, unless there's something built into that, kind of negotiation, these regulators giving them the okay, unless it's almost like built in where they're required to give Sony that deal, because if you walk away from all this and it's not like a requirement, I don't know if Microsoft does it. Sony may lose Call of Duty immediately, versus you could have had it for like 10 years, found your own Call of Duty kind of machine and gone from there. Now, I know it's not easy. I know it's not automatic or even guaranteed that that would happen. But a quote like this, and I've seen people address it on Twitter and elsewhere, it's like, all right, you're really going to say that without Call of Duty, it's over? And that's really, as this war, through court and all this stuff, as it wages on, it's really just Call of Duty. I guess Call of Duty is the only thing that makes PlayStation. It's just not a good look. Like, do you want your leader? And I mean, again, I'm sure there's multiple decisions that this man makes, but I'm sure there's also multiple decisions loads of other people makes. He's not necessarily the be-all, end-all. But do you want the guy who legitimately is your leader saying, well, if we lose COD, it's literally over. People now, I guess he's saying if COD comes out on our console and it's garbage compared to the other quality, versions of it, then people will leave and then it's over. But you're still no matter what, you're implying then that if there is no COD, I guess there's no PlayStation. And then if there is a COD that's kind of broken, that would also ruin PlayStation. Why? Why would it? And this has been talked about, I think last time he talked about this a few weeks or months ago, where it's like, do you really think, I think in the modern age, my own opinion, In the modern age with the internet, if Call of Duty were to come out, we know who's making it. We know who's kind of behind the scenes. So if Call of Duty comes out in modern day, 2023, the internet is so popular, everybody talks, right? And it's complete garbage. It literally looks like they sabotaged it on PlayStation. Do you think people would blame PlayStation for that? No, you would go after Xbox. You'd go after Microsoft. It'd be their fault. It'd be Activision's fault. You'd know who to blame. Now, maybe there's, the casual gamers, maybe they don't know who to blame. I think there'd be enough of an uprising, and then you could bring in maybe legal stuff where and I don't know, you could bring up legal stuff and say, hey, we told you if this happened, they'd purposely sabotage it on our console. You got to do something. Like, I feel like the ramifications would be enormous if that happened. But Jim Ryan makes it sound like, well, if it happened, everybody would just blame PlayStation. It would be PlayStation's fault. That's not even true. That wouldn't actually be true. Now, if people would do it or not, I guess that's up to their intellect. That's up to how smart they are. But it's too much of this depending on Call of Duty. That's not... I get Call of Duty makes a lot of money. I get Call of Duty makes PlayStation a lot of money. I know that they're kind of seen, maybe because of the recent, decade-long or whatever marketing of PlayStation and COD. I get that. But at the same time, it should not be. If Call of Duty is the only thing that makes PlayStation or has people identify with PlayStation, you've already messed up. I would say if you identify only with one game, if you look at Xbox as the Starfield device or the Halo device, if you look at Sony PlayStation for Call of Duty or Uncharted or The Last of Us, if it's only like one or two things, you've already failed. It should be kind of like a mentality, kind of like, I got an idea, a brand. It needs to be a brand why people side with, or, why do you think there are console wars, right? Maybe it is because of just one game here and there, but it probably should be because of the entirety of what they provide. Sony doesn't even provide it's on the console, but they don't provide it to you. They don't make it, right? So it's crazy. Somebody needs to take that microphone away from Jim Ryan. Let me know what you think. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.